Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. What I'm going to discuss now is something that is so astonishing. It's blown my mind. I actually had to go and read this twice. I could not believe what I was reading. Now, before we go and have a look at the specific of what I'm going to say, I just want to make something clear. The SNP government are in the hole. Now, for a long time, they've said that they were about $1 billion in the hole. They then eventually had to announce that actually it was about $1.5 billion in the hole. That, I think, is still underestimated. I reckon they're nearer 2 billion, if not actually reaching 2 billion in the hole in terms of achieving their budget. They've overspent that much. And that is why, of course, they can't afford to spend money on anything. It's why the NHS budget is cut, the education budget is cut, everything's cut, except, of course, independence. Oh no, siree, Bob, they're never, ever going to cut that particular budget. But 17 years of complete misrule, of financial naivety, unless, of course, it's not naivety at all and it's desperately, on purpose or something, I don't know. But 17 years of continual underfunding of the Scottish councils has left them in a very parlous state. And when I say very parlous, I mean head-whirringly astonishing. Because you see, they are in a lot of debt. In order to fund the things they do, over the last 17 years of SNP rule, they've had to take out loans or mortgage buildings or make some dodgy investments that have then gone south, leaving them with a massive financial hole that has somehow got to be filled. And just this year, of course, the underfunding continues, with Shona Robinson giving 200 million to councils who would in actual fact need about $1 billion if they were to maintain their costs and their services at the same level, thanks to Humza Yousaf's disastrous and desperate ploy of announcing a council tax freeze. This has led to a situation where up and down the country, councils have amassed a lot of debt. It's taken them a while. It's taken them 17 years, of course, the 17 years the SNP have been in control. But they've amassed a lot of debt. This debt is more than you are prepared for. This debt will literally be unbelievable. Because while the SNP government may be £2 billion in the hole, this is as nothing compared to what the councils are in debt. Because they're not in debt £2 billion or £3 billion or even £5 billion. They're not even £10 billion in debt. In total, the councils up and down Scotland are just shy of £22 billion of debt, and they have no way at all of repaying it. The debt is 1.5 times more than all the money they receive in a single year. Across all of them. They cannot possibly maintain and service these debts. Something is going to have to give. This is like Darien all over again. They have effectively bankrupted an entire country because of political dogma. The only difference this time, of course, is they didn't sail to South America to do this. They didn't put everything on a bunch of ships and send them halfway around the world. This calamity was caused by the people that stayed behind and stayed in Edinburgh and decided that councils didn't need the money. And the result, of course, is obvious. Schools are failing. Education in Scotland is failing. It's not even up to third world standards now. The buildings, the infrastructure for schools, gone. This desperate, sad concrete problem, they cannot afford to fix it. Roads, like the surface of the moon going unfixed, unresolved, broken for years. No chance of it ever being repaired. Social care. Well, if you're lucky, mostly not. And they've cut everything so far to the bone that there's not even bone left. It's just the memory of a bone. Strangely, though, they can always afford to give themselves pay rises, can these councillors, but nothing else will ever matter. Unless they are all fired, every single member who is a member of the SNP, every councillor, every MP, every SNP, and that all power is removed from these people, it can never improve. They refuse to spend money on things that matter. Of course, they'll continue to send Angus Robertson 3/4 of the way around the world. Of course, they'll continue to fund, and increasingly so, the pretendy embassies that are not needed and are only there to give jobs for friends and relatives of those in the party. They can still produce the glossy brochures and waste millions a year on an independence department, even though independence itself is an unachievable wet dream that most of the people in Scotland don't even want. Meanwhile, the entire country is about to be bankrupted. £22 billion is a whole lot of money, and there is no plan, of course, to repay it. The SNP know, ultimately, Westminster will have to step in and fix it. Hardly the actions of a government desperate to show that they are capable of running a country and not make it bankrupt. Now, of course, the SNP will come up and lie and tell you, oh, it's Westminster's fault. They haven't funded us enough. We haven't done this. We haven't done this. Brexit, aliens, Israel. Every excuse they'll pull out, and they'll continue to pull it out. But we all know the real truth. The real truth is the crooks and charlatans sitting at Holyrood and in Bute House. None of them care. None of them are able to deal with these problems. They sit there, ostrich-like, head in the ground, arse in the air, not caring. Because as long as they are on the big fat gravy train, taking their big salaries, why should they bother? But it's your children who aren't getting educated. It's your cars being damaged on these roads. It's the infrastructure, which means your granny isn't receiving the Meals on Wheels. Everything is failing. Everything is purely the fault of the SNP. We must put them out of our misery. Thank you very much. But before I go, one last time, £22 billion in the hole. Till next time, stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you later. Bye.